it feels like, those, like I said, images of this type of dystopian future where, we have to almost have this barrier between us, and we're almost like giving up our, I think, not our free will, but we are subjugating a lot of our will to authority to micromanage what we're doing. For example, I saw clips of drones, in China, in the Gulf, going out and then communicating with people like, get back into your homes. You are now, you are under quarantine. Get back into. So you know what I mean? I understand the reasoning. I understand the reasoning behind this. I understand. Okay, this is for public health and whatnot. But the reason why I bring this up, Sheikh, so I'm not saying that we need to rebel against these policies, okay? But I think we should go deeper into reflecting upon, okay, what is happening now, what brought us to the situation, and also about the future, okay? Because if we look at this condition that we're in, this trial, this tribulation that we're in a simple material level, okay, this came out of nowhere. We don't know how it came in. We have to just deal with it. We have to listen to those who are in authority. They will save us. And you see this as human psychology. We look to like a strong figure, an authoritative figure for instructions on what to do, right? So that's why, for example, you're seeing Trump's approval rating going up during this time. Okay, he's had the highest approval ratings of his entire presidency during this pandemic, right? So you're looking to these sources of authority, and so I think we need to evaluate what's going on as well, instead of just, okay, yeah, we're following this, these authoritative structures, and we should be following it for the sake of the good of the public. But at the same time, I don't think if we don't make real hard self-reflective affirmations, if we don't do that, if we don't make moral reflection, Sheikh, everyone's making like, okay, we have to fix our healthcare system. We have to end wet markets in China. Sheikh, wet markets in China have been going on for hundreds of years. Okay, it's going to be something else next. Okay, if it's a disastrous earthquake, if it's another disease, we should make moral reflections as well. Because if you just look at everything in a material sense, okay, and at this point in time, yes, we are subjecting a lot of our will to points of authority. After this happens, if we do not make moral reflections, Sheikh, we could find ourselves in a worse position. Because I want you to think about this. You have these policies in place. They're saying, okay, we're going to monitor people's movement through their cell phone. You're going to have drones now monitoring people. Are they complying with this public health policy? They're restricting freedom of movement. They're putting all these different policies in place of isolation or whatever. If we don't make those moral reflections, Sheikh, we could be establishing turnkey tyranny, for somebody who has ill intentions of their own. They just use these mechanisms now in place to control society for their will. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? No one's making those moral, like one of the brothers was frustrated telling me that, I find it so frustrating that you have, because obviously you have a certain mouthpiece for people who have the people who have the biggest platform aren't making those moral reflections. Okay, is there something as a society morally we need to change? They're thinking about maybe policy change. They're thinking about material change. They're talking about changing their supply change, but they're not thinking about moral change. They're not thinking about is there something that we have lacked morally as a people, as a society, as a culture, Sheikh. That's that's what, some of the thoughts that are going through my mind, because you look at this. I understand the purpose, and I'm not saying rebel against this, but if we don't make, I think, moral reflections, what's going to happen afterwards is we're just giving if you look at what happened during the Bush era and the Obama era in the United States, they gave vast and expanded powers to their government to spy on people, to imprison people without due process. And now they blame, Trump inherited all those mechanisms. So you can't blame Trump for anything that he's doing, okay? And they have a responsibility for what they did during their administrations. So you're just basically putting all these mechanisms in place, and as somebody who wants to be even a greater tyrant has the keys to this tyrannical kingdom.